Hi, I'm Patu from freefincal, and these are 6 ELSS funds that have consistently bet the Nifty LargeMidcap 250 index. So the July 2019 freefincal equity mutual fund performance screener has been published. So I'm going to show you how you can use the screener to quickly get a list of funds that have consistently bet a tough index like Nifty LargeMidcap 250. So I had talked about in a previous video that mutual funds say that they can invest in the top 200 stocks or the top 500 stocks and pick the NSE or BSE 200 or NSE BSE 500, and investors assume that that will produce more. That will be harder to beat than the Nifty. That's not true at all. If you take the NSE 200 or the NSE 500, that have lower risk than the Nifty because of the higher number of stocks, but the returns will be pretty much the same. Um, so what they're doing is they have the freedom to invest, especially tax saving mutual funds. They have the freedom to invest across market cap, across sectors, as long as they hold 80% of Indian equity, and that's a rule set by the finance ministry. So but they keep something like BSE 200 or BSE Sensex or Nifty, something simpler. Whereas I would prefer to compare their performance against Nifty Large Mid Cap 250, which is a mixture of 50% large cap index Nifty 100 and 50% of Nifty Mid Cap 150, and that's a lot more tougher to beat. And as I've shown in this article today, if you were to look at every possible 3-year, 5-year, 3-year, 4-year, 5-year returns of direct plans of 41 tax saving mutual funds, compare it with the Nifty 100 index. Out of that 41, one fund, the Aditya Birla tax saver is suspended, so there are 40 active mutual fund plans, and out of those 40, if you use the Nifty 100 as a benchmark, and then you ask yourself how many times, that is, let's say there are 100 3-year returns, out of that the mutual fund should have bet the Nifty 100 at least 70% of the times, 70% of the return durations. So again, more than 70% or above 4-year return durations possible, 70% or above 5-year return durations possible. If you keep that as the benchmark, then there are 13 ELSS funds, only 13 ELSS funds out of 40 that have outperformed the Nifty 100, and those are the fund list. You can get the full list in the article. But I would prefer to have a slightly more narrower short list. It's possible using the Nifty Large Mid Cap, and so what I'm doing is, so you just head over to the screener file here, go to the this is the filter page. You go and select ELSS and click on that, and then you demand from this screener, I want a mutual fund that has bet the benchmark, that is Nifty Large Mid Cap 250, 70% of or more of every possible 5 years, click that, every possible 4 years, click that, every possible 3 years, click that, and I also demand downside protection consistency of 70% or more for every possible 5 years, 4 years, and 3 years. Downside consistency means if I look at, for a 5-year period, if I look at monthly returns, typically when the index falls, the fund will fall less. So a fund that consistently falls lower than the benchmark index is the kind of fund that you want, in addition to return outperformance. I had told you the secret of mutual funds beating the benchmark is downside protection. That's another video, you can have a look at that. So that's the reason why I focus a lot on downside protection. So once you click 70% outperformance for 5 years, 4 years, 3 years, I don't want to click this now because it'll be jarring to you. I've already done it. And if I click on downside protection consistency of 70% or more for 5 years, 4 years, 3 years, then I will get my final selection of funds right here, and those are the 6 funds. There are 7 funds here, but the Aditya Birla Sun Life tax plan has been suspended. The only active ELSS fund from Birla is this Tax Relief 96, and those are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Those are the 6 funds. Of course, don't take quant tax plan performance seriously. Of course, the last few years has been good. But if you look at the long-term returns, it is not a very good performer. So ignore quantum tax plan. I wouldn't invest in a JM mutual fund. I'm a little worried about Invesco. I'm not sure if I can. That pretty much leaves Birla and DSP as a slightly popular AMCs. IDFC is all right if you're comfortable with it. So it's a slightly a shorter list for you to choose from. Once I have the list, I will look at the AUM. I will look at the fund house. Is it popular? Is it among investors? Has it caught up into any major controversies in the last few years? Is it likely to close down and so on? So in that kind of sense, I will ignore the small fund houses like JM Quant. Invesco is all right, but IDFC is reasonable and may not be a big fund house. So that basically leaves those two funds. Of course, that doesn't mean these are the only two best funds. That's not what I'm trying to say. Based on current data, as a research analyst, that's the data. As an investor, I will look at the fund performance from the date in which I invested. I have tools for this. You can download them. You can download one more tool linked here, and you can have a look at it. So get the screener. The screener is rupees 111. You can buy the screener if you're interested, and do it for all other categories listed in the input page, and do similar screening for yourself, and also check out the performance of the funds that you hold. So that's what I want to say in this video. If you have any questions, please leave a comment below. Bye bye.